Alright, this is just a quick little update video showing off some alternate transformations for these Transformers Go combiners, because after playing with them, like, I went through a period of, like, they're okay, to, oh god, these are crap, I can't get the voice sound box to work, and all this stuff. And then I started really fiddling with them, and I came up with some really neat stuff. At least I think it's really neat, and just some improvements and some things you can do to make them look a little better. Now, here's Gogano, and one of the most obvious difference here is that he's now using Kenzen's arms, and I really like this one. I think this is one of my favorite combinations to do it like this, because you can rotate it instead of having Gogano's arms come down here and then kind of get blocked by Kenzen's arms and they sit out awkwardly to the side. You can fold them up onto the back. You can leave them like this. If you want, you can rotate them so they're like this, which kind of gives them these shoulder cannons up here on his shoulder. Entirely up to you how you want to do it. I kind of like having them off to the side like that, but you can do it however you wish. I'm going to lift this up a little bit so you can see a little bit more of the contrast of how those guns look pointed forward. Limitations of backgrounds pieces I'm using. But yeah, like this. And then I like this because the way you fold the joints back here. I'll see if I can't show it off. If you can see that how that's laid up there. Get some light on it. It's kind of rotated back and then down at the white joint. One, it makes Kenzen's arm look less lanky, which is nice. And I like that it gives the middle robot something to do other than just sit there and make the rest of the robot back heavy. Like before, Kenzen's arms would fold up around the back, and they'd sit really far back, like further back than these do, and would make it a back heavy robot. And I really like the idea that the middle robot contributes more than just I'm abs, which is nice. And then down here on the legs, you can see what I've done here in the legs to make them sit a little more naturally. Is this first joint up here I've angled out, so he's kind of bow-legged up here, and then bent them down straight down here at this joint, which lets him sit a little wider apart. You can see it's still very stable. He's not falling over. Lets him sit a little bit more naturally, like wider to the body instead of straight up and down here. And then since these pieces sit in the front anyway, you just kind of fold the arms up there, and you don't see that angled bit. It just looks like he's got natural legs. So that's my updated Gogano, and I really, really like this version. I really like that one a lot, because I think it looks much more better proportioned, natural, and like I said before, it really gives Kenzen something to do in the middle versus just being abs in a backpack. Now here is Go Kenzen, which is also looking much better than before. You still don't have, now unfortunately there's not a way that I found to easily get Jinbu to be the arms in this mode like I did with the Gogano form and Kenzen, but he's looking much better proportioned here, and we'll go over and I'll show you kind of what we did. One, I did the same kind of transformation with his arms in that I rotated them back here at this joint instead of having them just come straight out and down, so that the shoulder joint is bent down at the white part here behind the Kabuto shield. And again, that just has the habit of, he's still got his elbow joint, he's still got a bicep swivel, he still retains all the range there. It just shortens the arms a little bit so they don't look quite as spindly and gangly as they do in the original transformation, where they hang down about like this much further. Two, we've got the feet flipped up like I did, and in this mode you can really leave them like this or flip them down to the actual combined mode form. Personally, I like the bigger feet. I think the bigger feet like this fit him better as a combined form than they do just for Gano by himself. But there's that. But the main thing we did here, is the arms. And then under here, I talked about doing this in my video and thought it wasn't possible because I was looking at this space between under here, because he's got a couple tabs here where he connects when Jinbu is on top. And I thought there's no way you can get his head up in there. But I forgot that in this mode, Gano actually goes up in between Jinbu's legs here, and there is plenty of space for his head to stay up, which means you can take this whole, instead of having this locked down here like this with the hips, you can rotate that up into the space in the torso, so the hips now sit, instead of sitting down here before they even get to the hips, they sit up a little higher where hips normally would, and I think it helps a little bit with the proportions of the figure. It doesn't look quite as super long torso. He's still got a slightly elongated torso, but it doesn't look nearly as out of proportion as it did originally, and this is a really nice look, I think, for Go Kenzen. So yeah, that's two of the three modes that I'm really, really liking. Jinbu has a couple of things you can fix, but doesn't has as many major fixes as the other two. And part of that is just because his the way his kabuto is so long and it plugs in way down here, you don't have, like with these guys, just these top pieces, you have some options to shorten the pieces in here and have them still work. Whereas him, this has to sit like this or it's not going to plug in. And just the way everything hooks together in Go Jinbu mode, you don't have as much opportunity to compress this at all. But we'll show that off. Basically, the only fix for Jinbu is his legs, and we'll show that off in just a second. And finally, here is Go Jinbu all combined. And all we've done here, like nothing's changed up here. And again, here's what I was talking about with the thing. You can't really compress this much because of the way this whole thing comes literally the entire length of the body, so it's kind of hard to compress the torso on that. Although, to be fair, you don't really have to on him. I think he's got one of the better upper bodies of all three. The problem is the legs. And what we've done down here in the legs is transform them a little bit. Well, not a little bit. Transform them basically into the same leg mode that he has, Kenzan has in just his standard robot mode. And the only reason I've done that is because down here on the bottom, you can see right here, this now pegs in, the heel now pegs into the leg. Because when you have them rotated out like this, you see this swivel here is very loose. And a lot of times, like, just the weight wants to make the legs twist, and it's not very stable. Especially if you don't have, if you have like a textured surface, it's a little bit better. But any type of, like, glass shelf or anything, or a smooth shelf you're going to be displaying it on, the weight really tends to start spreading the legs, and once it gets out to a certain point, the ankle just spins and then he just collapses. Now the problem with this, you do it like this, and you can actually pin that whole ankle and foot in place, which is nice. The problem is, by having the legs like this, it sits on this ratchet joint, which is not, it's looser for arm mode. It's not designed to take the whole weight of the combiner. Like the legs sideways like this are more designed with the foot properly. Obviously, it's falling back because I don't have the foot right, but are more designed with heavier ratchets up in here to support that weight of the combiner. The problem is with that rotating ankle joint, it's so much floppier. So you can get some stable poses out of this. Like the problem is, like, he would be a great mode. I think he'd be my favorite of all the modes if his legs were just sturdier. Because any configuration I found for the legs so far just does not have him standing up well. And I even tried turning him around like this, and that just doesn't help either, because you're still sitting on that ratchet joint, and since these don't lock in anywhere, like if you could kind of plug that in somewhere, just plug this little tab in, if it plugged into the leg and maybe locked the joint down, would make it so much nicer. But that's all there is to it. So like I said, those are my problems with Jinbu, or just his legs. Kenzan as legs doesn't work great, which is a shame because, as I said, I really kind of dig the way this upper torso looks with the cockpit and the wings kind of coming off. Very nice. And then he comes out down to these really skinny legs up here, and then a lower leg that just doesn't really support him in either of the configurations you can really put those legs in. I'm going to still mess with them and see if I can't get something done with it, but that's all there is to it. But like I said, I think there's definitely some improvements to Go and Go Kenzan modes, which really kind of sell the figure for me. If you're thinking about getting these, I would rate them fun but flawed. If you have the means to check them out and you're curious, do it. If you're thinking, that looks cool but can't really afford that right now, hang on, because I think in like October there's a 3-pack coming out of all three of them together, which is, I think it's about the same price. Like right now, if you buy Kenzan and Jinbu from an import store, the import stores are selling the 3-pack for about the same price as Kenzan and one of the other bots combined. So you're getting all 3 bots for the price of basically 2 of them. If you wait for the combined set, I think it's $109 for the set of all 3 at TF Source versus like $60 and $40 or $66 and $40 for Jinbu or for Kenzan, and then one of the other ones. I think the other 2 are about $40 a piece, and then that. If you're patient, if you have the means and you're patient, by all means wait. I think they're worth checking out. They're fun to play with once you get everything locked in and figure out some of the stuff that I've shown here, and even some of your own modes. Like there's a lot of tweaking you can do, a lot of joints around. You're going to be happy with them. I think they're fun little combiners. The sounds, I've pretty much written off the sounds. Like I have gotten them working, a little bit of super glue on some tabs and some floor polish and just tightening some joints has the backpack holding in much better than it did before. But still, like he makes the sounds and that's great. I don't know, now that I've checked them all out, I don't know how often I'm going to really use the sounds. But as toys, they're fun, and which is really my ultimate test of, do I like this? Is it fun? And I've spent most of my free time the last few days messing with him, finding new modes, and tweaking them and playing with them. So ultimately, is he fun? Yes. Is he perfect? No. So if you're only buying perfect toys, then save your money. If you're looking for something just to dink around with and fun, and you can afford it, I do recommend checking them out. If you're going to convention seasons, I know they were at BotCon, they'll probably be at TFCon. I'm not going to be bringing mine there, but somebody will probably buy them and open them and play with them. If you get a chance to check them out, I recommend checking them out at some point in some way, just because they are a little bit of fun. But yeah, there you go. There's some alternate modes, and just a quick little update. I guess it's longer now that I've done 3 segments, but just an update video to these combiner guys.